Okay, let's talk about the one thing nobody in the corporate world wants to admit out loud. And once you realize this, it will change the way you think about every decision you make at work. Keep watching, because right after this, I'll reveal the one principle that'll make or break your career. Have you ever looked around and noticed the most watched person in the room is never the one doing the bare minimum? It's not the guy who's always just about to start or the one who's mastered looking busy. No, the spotlight, the uncomfortable, constant scrutiny, it finds the doers. The ones who raise their hand, the ones who stay late to fix a problem that wasn't technically theirs, the people operating ironically with good intentions. You'd think that's what the system wants, right? Initiative, ownership, go-getters. Let me stop you right there. That's the fairy tale. The story they sell you in orientation. The reality is colder and much more interesting. Your desire to good, to help, to be a team player is often the exact trigger for the system to start watching you closer. Not with gratitude, but with suspicion. Before we dive into this beautifully broken logic, do me a favor. Hit pause for just a second. Ask yourself this, and be honest. What does the faceless system, the performance reviews, the metrics, the unspoken rules, what does it truly value? A, the purity of your heart, your noble intentions. B, the cold hard data of your actions. C, some balanced mix of both. Make a mental note, or better yet, drop it in the comments. I'll circle back at the end, and I promise you the answer is the key to understanding why you often feel so frustrated. All right, let's pull back the curtain. First, let's destroy a myth. Your helpful act is not a virtue signal. It's a data anomaly. Picture this. We'll call her Sarah. She's a project lead at a sprawling tech campus in Silicon Valley. A deadline is slipping. The team is stressed. Sarah thinks, I can shoulder a bit more. She gives up her weekend, dives into the code, and delivers the module ahead of schedule. She feels a sense of camaraderie. She solved a fire. Here's what the system, the amalgamation of HR software, project management tools, and managerial perception, actually logs. It doesn't log Sarah's team spirit. It generates a note that says verbatim, output pattern deviation detected. Employee Sarah demonstrated 40% higher throughput in cycle Q4 to 2023. Adjusting baseline productivity model for this asset upward by 18% for future forecasting. You read that right. Asset, throughput, model adjustment. A month later, Sarah Child gets sick. She leaves at 5 p.m. sharp for a week. The system doesn't see a parent. It flags sustained deviation from new baseline. Engagement metrics shows significant drop. Recommend check-in for potential burnout or disengagement. You thought you were going the extra mile to be recognized, but instead you unknowingly changed the game. The system just recalibrated its expectations of you. And trust me, what happens next will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about hard work. You are no longer Sarah who can do X. You are now Sarah who is expected to do X plus, always. Your good became the new normal. And anything less than that, a problem to diagnose. Sound familiar? If you've ever felt punished for your own competence, just type "seen" in the comments. Second, understand the core driver. The system isn't evil. In fact, it's much more dangerous than you think. It's pathologically allergic to uncertainty, and understanding this is the first step in mastering the game. Stick with me, because I'm about to show you exactly how you can turn this understanding into a strategic advantage. We anthropomorphize it. We call it the company, management, they. But at its core, it's a risk-aversion engine. Its prime directive is not to create brilliance, but to minimize surprises. So when you, out of the goodness of your heart, jump in to coordinate between feuding departments or clean up a mess you didn't make, you feel like a responsible adult. The system, however, registers an unplanned variable, a rogue element. You've just created a new informal line of communication, a new dependency, a cause and effect chain that isn't on the official map. You've introduced uncertainty. Think of it like a doctor's visit. You say, "Doctor, I have a terrible stabbing pain here." The doctor doesn't write down, "Patient is suffering." He writes, "Patient reports stabbing pain." The record is of the report, not the feeling. The system is that doctor. It is deaf to your motives. It is blind to your intent. It only sees and records the behavioral output. Which leads us to the third and most brutal part, the invisible price tag on every good deed. That first time you go above and beyond, you think you're investing in social capital. You're not. You are, in fact, signing a contract you never got to read. The fine print includes 3 devastating clauses. Price 1, the end of invisibility. You've left the anonymous herd behind, but now you're on the radar. And here's the kicker. This might just be the moment that sets off a chain of events you can't reverse. What happens next? You'll want to watch to understand the real cost of being noticed. Your average day is now benchmarked against your exceptional day. Normalcy looks like underperformance. Price 2. You are now a high-maintenance asset. Simple resources don't need much monitoring. Complex, high-output ones do. You will now require more check-ins, more status reports, more touch bases. Your value is high, but so is your surveillance overhead. Price 3. The trap closes. Exit becomes suspicion. The moment you try to step back, because you're tired, bored, or just want a life, the system doesn't log human needs rest. It calculates strategic recalibration. Is she losing commitment? Is she quietly job hunting? Is this a power play? Your reduction in effort is not seen as a return to baseline, but as a potential hostile maneuver. So the real question isn't, how can I be more helpful? It's, can I afford the cost of this help? Now, let's anchor this in something timeless, because this isn't a new bug in the software of power. It's a feature. Over 2,300 years ago, in the warring states of ancient China, a philosopher named Han Feizi, who understood systems of control better than almost anyone, wrote this: "To accept anything without verification is folly." Let that sink in. Without verification. The modern system is the ultimate expression of this cynicism. It cannot verify your loyalty, your passion, your good heart. These are ghosts in the machine. But it can verify that you sent the email at 11 p.m. It can verify your lines of code. It can verify your sales numbers. Therefore, it dismisses the ghost and worships the data. In the system's cold logic, an employee who is highly capable outside of prescribed channels is often viewed as more unstable, more of a threat, than a mediocre employee who perfectly follows the script. The modern metaphor: you're not an employee. You're a player in a bad strategy game. Imagine your career is a poorly designed real-time strategy game. You see a gap in the defense, an unclaimed resource. A good player takes it. You've helped your faction, but the game's AI doesn't send a thank you. It recalibrates. 1. Difficulty spike. Player aggression metric elevated. Increased challenge rating for next quarter objectives. 2. Resource reallocation. Player can handle more. Reduce their allocated support staff by 1. 3. Constant scouting. Maintain active surveillance. This level of independent action could indicate prep for a coup. This isn't fantasy. It's a metaphor for the Harvard Business Review study that found over 70% of employees who consistently exceed expectations later find their performance under more scrutiny. Their margins for error vanished. Their exceptional wasn't rewarded. It was baked into the new minimum requirement. So, let's close the loop. Remember that question from the beginning? What does the system care about? If you picked A, your intentions, you're hoping for a moral conversation with a machine that only speaks math. If you picked C, a balanced mix, you're projecting human nuance onto a binary processor. The blunt, unglamorous truth is B. It cares about your actions, only your actions, and always your actions, because actions are the only thing it can count, model, predict, and ultimately control. This is level 2. This is the first layer of the real game. Understanding that the system is a merciless economist, not a benevolent judge. It doesn't price your character, it prices your behavioral patterns. Now, your next thought is probably, fine. If being the proactive hero gets me monitored, I'll play it the other way. I'll become the most reliable, predictable, steady cog in the machine, the rock everyone depends on. That's safe. That's smart, right? Oh, my friend. That's where the real trap is waiting. That's the golden cage. But this is just the beginning. In the next video, we'll uncover the one career-killing trap that most people never see coming. If you think the cost of good intentions is high, wait until you see what happens when you become too reliable. This is a secret you won't want to miss. We're going to expose why being the rock makes you the prisoner. How the system, with a quiet smile, thanks you for your loyalty by welding shut every door around you, freezing you in place, and making you too valuable to promote and too expensive to lose. That's the next lesson. And if you think the cost of good intentions is high, wait until you see the price of being indispensable.